In this unit, we'll review and wrap up the course. Should you have any questions after this unit, it's recommended that you review the previous units before attempting to take the final exam. Using ICS knowledge brings the concepts together that were learned in the last 6 units. During this course, students have learned or perhaps refreshed your knowledge in the steps involved in incident notifications, what you need to consider in your initial incident actions, what a delegation of authority is and how we use it in ICS, understood the flexibility in ICS as it pertains to expanding the organization, and finally, the process involved in transfer of command. These same ICS knowledge and skills are used in many locations throughout the world. Unit 7 adds information to the course that's needed to actually apply the basic skills and knowledge learned throughout ICS 200 when assigned to an exercise or actual emergency almost anywhere in the world. In addition to a final review, the Unit 7 objectives are for the student to describe steps responders may take to show ICS professionalism when dispatched to, assigned to, and during demobilization from an incident, exercise, or event. As stated in an earlier unit, in ICS, professionalism is much more than looking sharp and being respectful. Professionalism means following the ICS processes to the best of your abilities. It means following instructions, being on time to assignments, maintaining a safe working environment, briefing superiors and relief resources, and most of all, taking pride in the response and giving it 100% effort. The ICS system is built on the concept that if someone is needed to respond to the incident outside of the initial few minutes or hours of an emergency response, then the dispatch system will send them. Spontaneous responders to an incident can complicate the command and control, as well as the safety and resource accountability of the incident. More often than not, these spontaneous responders lead to delays in operations rather than help them. The ICS process for responding to an emergency is respond only when dispatched to an emergency. Obtain all necessary information prior to being dispatched, such as the type of assignment, required arrival time to incident, specific tools or equipment needed to bring, method of travel, route of travel, potential duration of assignment, where and who to report to upon arrival, and any specific financial coding or tracking numbers of the incident. Upon arrival, always check in personally with the incident commander, operations section chief, or planning section. This ensures accountability for your travel to the assignments and starts the resource tracking process on the incident itself. Upon arrival, every resource should get a thorough briefing. In fact, the ICS is designed so that every resource should get an operational briefing prior to the start of any assignments. A briefing should consist of the following: the current incident situation, what the assignment is, a communications plan, service and support system setup, safety concerns including a hazard assessment and mitigations for the safety concerns, and an opportunity for both sides to ask questions not answered. The Incident Response Pocket Guide has an excellent briefing checklist at the back of the book. This checklist should be used to either receive or provide a briefing if a formal format is not available from the incident. In ICS, documentation is required and collected by the documentation unit for all positions, from leaders and managers to the incident commander. Generally, the incident documentation will be archived for many years and will remain the historical accounting of the incident. The ICS document that is used by the documentation unit is called an ICS 214 or activity log, and a link to the FEMA form is on the screen. When using the ICS 214, or any ICS form for that matter, always complete the following steps. Fill out the log in pen, printing neatly, or on a computer. Fill in every box with either the information requested or N/A for not applicable. Use the numerical date format of month/day/year, with year as a 4-digit numeral. Only document factual information. The ICS 214 may be read again, and emotional editorials regarding the incident or coworkers and non-essential information are not needed or helpful. Some say to document the 3 Ds, or decisions, discussions, and disputes when completing an ICS 214. Some individuals choose to use a personal log or a journal instead of an ICS 214. If a personal log is used, a check with the documentation unit leader should be made to inquire on how you will supply your required information to the unit. Remember, in most cases, anything that's written down, regardless of the form used, is discoverable in a court of law. Upon completion of the assignment, emergency workers need to complete the assigned documentation, return any borrowed tools, and thoroughly debrief with their supervisor. It's always a good idea to have the supervisor complete an ICS 225 performance evaluation or other organization-specific evaluation documentation prior to leaving an assignment. This documentation can be used to support additional training, document good work ethic, complete position task books, or develop plans to improve deficiencies in areas. A link to the FEMA ICS form is provided on the screen. The supervisor will then declare the worker surplus to their needs, and the planning section, in cooperation with the operations section, will evaluate the incident and determine if there is another assignment waiting to be filled. If so, the worker may be reassigned to the new job. If there are no new jobs or work, then the worker will start the incident demobilization process with the demobilization unit. The demobilization unit will declare the worker excess and available for release from the incident. The unit will arrange safe travel plans for the worker and ensure the worker returns to their home. One more note: personal emergencies may occur and are part of life. If a personal emergency occurs with the worker or at home, the demobilization unit has a plan for what is called emergency demobilization that streamlines the entire process, and they are well versed in it. ICS supervisors should discuss emergency demobilization with the unit so they can assist subordinates with this process as needed. This concludes the actual content of the ICS 200 course. So now what? Where does the student go from here? Many will never need to take any more courses or obtain more info than what has been provided in this Introduction to ICS course. However, some will need additional training. If needed, the next step to take as you continue to build an ICS foundation is ICS 300, Intermediate ICS. This class will provide training and information for resources and personnel who are likely to assume a supervisory role within an ICS organization, either at a lower level on large incidents such as unit leaders, strike team leaders, or staging area managers, or be assigned to initial attack incidents that do not have a functioning ICS structure yet. This slide displays ICS requirements for training for some emergency workers, including private industry. It details classes that should be taken and at what level of management they should be taken for emergency responders. Students should check with their employer or training officer to determine the actual ICS requirements for their area. This slide contains some useful links to ICS resources. Students may want to bookmark these links for future use. The following links are provided. EMSI Resources provides links to ICS resources available on the Internet. EMSI Job Aids and Support provide links to job aids available from EMSI. Free online FEMA courses are linked to several free online courses provided by FEMA. This course list is updated frequently, so it's good to monitor it on occasion. And finally, the U.S. Coast Guard ICS Library provides a link to their library of ICS forms, job aids, incident management handbook, and much more. In Unit 1, the stated objectives of the ICS 200 course were to provide a basic understanding of ICS notifications, assessment, and initial actions, ICS delegation of authority and leaders' intent, ICS organizational flexibility, ICS management of single resources, ICS meetings and briefings, and ICS essential forms, documentation, and transfer of command. EMSI understands that this course contains a lot of information, and we hope we've achieved these objectives with each student that has completed the course. At the beginning of this course, each student was asked to write down or think of their expectations for this course. Now is the time to think back to those expectations. Were they met? Did you achieve your expectations? EMSI's expectation was, upon completion, students should be better prepared to coordinate with response partners from all levels of the private sector as well as government agencies and non-governmental entities using ICS. Was this expectation met? We would like to know so we can continue to improve this course and keep it relevant to emergency workers. In conclusion, EMSI and Proactimo would like to thank you for your time, effort, and participation. We know that you're busy and your time is very important to you, your family, and your employer. We appreciate your participation and look forward to working with you in the future.